to the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Hey, Mona. That didn't quite go the way that I thought it was going to go, but you know, we really need a producer. How are you? Are you moving different or what? Are you moving different this week, Mona?
I am. Yes, I must say, with the election in full swing, I have been moving.
A
Today,
lot. I
a lot.
noticed that.
All of us
Yes.
know. All of us, yes. But today, it was a quiet day, so
Hmm.
I just stayed home today.
Well,
I
that's
try not to
good.
do anything. I try not to do anything on Sundays when we're gonna go live. That way, because we're still. Well, this is 102 episode, and it's still hit or miss with us.
It is still hit or miss with us, but yeah, I actually got up very ambitious to actually do some things like take Miss Patterson shopping. She's on her way to Canada. In a couple of weeks, she's going to go to Canada with her
Oh,
sisters.
oh,
To
how awesome is that? Perfect.
yeah, she's 89 and still traveling.
Good traveling.
So yeah, I was gonna take her to DSW. We're gonna look around, and then I was gonna go take her over to Edison with me. I want to hang a sign for the kids in the morning, but I'm gonna have to get up really early to get to the school to hang the sign
Mm-hmm.
as they're
Hmm.
coming on, because I'm gonna go there to just greet them as they come in for their first
Sure,
day.
sure.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and I meant to go with Robin to do some canvassing, and none of that happened. This is where I was all
Yeah.
day long.
I don't plan.
So
I try not to plan anything on the
smart.
days we're going live because I just can't. I can't multitask.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
I
I mean,
had a
I
lot.
can't. I don't like it.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
the times are such now that we all have to figure these things out,
Sure.
and how we can be a part of the solutions rather than just um, sort of going along to get along, because at some point we're going to hit a wall, and then we're going to say, "What happened?
Hmm.
What? How come I didn't know that?" But
I think we're already there. Like the wall is right here, and we could
mhm.
just lean forward, and we're gonna fall backwards.
Yeah, well. So Mona, school starts tomorrow, and tonight, folks out there in the audience, Black parents, Black community in particular, I need you to come on up to the front of the room. Just come
Hmm.
on up to the front of the room, because Mona and I are going to be talking shop with two tremendous women who live every single day working in the trenches in the schools. April Cobb and Denice Thomas-Papion will be on later at around 6:30. So, folks, stay tuned.
Yeah, and we got opinions. Some nights we even got answers. But Jeanette, tonight we might get a few of both. That is
Yes.
our hope for tonight. Yes.
Yeah, so my advice to folks is pull up a chair, because these two women, they absolutely are fighting on the front lines for our children's education. And I was just telling April earlier, I said, "Girl, I can't tell you how much I respect what the two of you do in the schools." So,
Yeah.
but before we get into the schools and the policies surrounding that, we want to do something we always do. We don't always do, and that's address the elephant in the room. So we have a guest that's coming on ahead of the two ladies that we actually supported. They're on our slate.
Hmm.
Luis Salazar is actually on our slate of candidates I'm proud to say.
Yeah.
So,
Someone knew Jeanette, and I have been following him, and I'm like, yeah,
mhm,
interesting young man. So Luis Salazar has 3 DUI convictions on his record.
mhm,
The
yep,
most recent from 2015.
hmm,
He's talked about it publicly, and he's called himself a different person now. And
yeah,
you know, particularly Democrats, we're always talking about a second chance, and more so,
yeah,
And separately, there's a political committee fund through Republicans aligned money that's been sending mail boosters, boosting his campaign this summer. No
wow,
ties, no
Republicans, yeah.
ties to his campaign has been proven, but is out there. And we thought the viewers deserve to know that we know. We do know these things. We know politics. I don't like to say, but it's a dirty game sometimes,
It's a
Um,
dirty game, yeah.
and sometimes when you get these mallows, you have to ask why they're sending them out,
Mm-hmm.
who
Who's it
they're
coming
really trying to
from?
help. So
Exactly,
it, it,
exactly.
it, it can be confusing at times, but this young guy, his opponent, you know, um, has his own issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
So, yeah, so you're right. Politics is a really dirty game, but the key is how do we confuse the voters? And
mhm,
that's one of the reasons Mona and I do what we do is to help you sort through. And if you are hearing these things, we thought it necessary that we have Luis Salazar on so that he could speak to you directly. He's one of those that we did support that we had not spoken to before. We had done the research, we were aware, but we want to make sure that he's able to talk with you directly. So, why don't you start? Let's bring him on.
you, let me find it. What?
Let's find him. I got him. You got
Yeah, I
him?
got, you got, yep, I got it.
All right. Welcome, Luis Salazar.
Hello, hello. How are you doing? Are our mics are working okay?
The
Your
mics are
sound,
fine
can you
before.
hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear, loud and clear.
All right. Well,
So
we're gonna
before
get right.
yep,
We're gonna get
we're
right
gonna
to
get right into it.
it.
But Mona,
I'm sorry.
I want Luis to first, and this is really not in our notes, but I want you to talk about or tell us the position that you're running for, and what exactly you believe those responsibilities are, so that our
Abs-
audience understands
a-
that.
Absolutely. I am Luis Salz. I'm running for Florida House District 64, which is the representative in Tallahassee for the district. This is a district that is 42% Latino, majority Latino district. Also encompasses West Tampa, Town and Country, Egypt Lake, a little bit of Carrollwood, the bottom half, a little bit of Riverside Heights, and Seminole Heights. In this job, it is a public servant, someone that is going to represent the people of the district and their best interests, and also a listener of what those needs are. I've been going around the entire district talking to uh, different leaders, different communities. I've been to over 500 events since November, really
Wow.
taking in the district. I've been to Town and Country, which is really concerned with flooding and trying to build a new park, trying to build more green spaces to absorb the brunt of the storms that are coming. Just on a normal day, there's flooding going on there. And really listening to people. This is, I believe, what the job is. I think the job is taking in what the community wants and the community needs and trying to create policy around it. We are not miracle workers when we get to Tallahassee. There's probably one or two things we could really focus on every session or every in our career, but I really want to focus on lowering homeowners insurance for people.
Wow.
It is the number one
That-
issue I hear at the doors.
That's my
Affordability.
number one. That's my number one concern, particularly with all of the flooding. Um, how do you, how are you able to reduce? And generally, I know when policies go up like this, they're never coming back down because they already know people are comfortable. or you're just going to make ends meet. But what do you think you could do? And basically, what I'm looking for in a candidate, what I think most people are looking for in a candidate, when these lobbyists come to you and ask you to raise, because I can remember it probably was in 2019 when I started noticing property insurance going up ridiculous, almost 30-40%. When Citizen United, I think it was Citizen Insurance Company, start dropping people. My customers kept telling me they were having a hard time getting homeowners insurance. If the house was too old, they didn't want to insure you. How do you fight back against that when you have these lobbyists coming in trying to convince you? Because I don't understand, if we have you there fighting for us, how is the lobbyist winning?
And you hit the nail right on the head. In Tallahassee, the lobbyists are in control. They not just homeowners insurance, just across the board, the electricity companies, everything. So we need to start building a coalition of candidates that are going to say no to these people. A younger candidate too, a new class to go in that is not beholden to all these old ties and relationships that have been festering in Tallahassee for decades now, and really controlling things and making rich people richer, and while we as working people are just kept down. There's no fighting for the working class. Yeah, there's no fighting for the working class in Tallahassee that I see. That's the main reason I'm running, because I don't see representation of people that know what I'm going through. The lack of healthcare that I can't get right. I've spotted for 20 years. I've had healthcare on and off. It's expensive. It's not expensive. The worry at the end of the month: am I going to be able to make rent, or am I paying my electric this month and not paying my water? And the next month I'm going to pay my water, but I'm going to pay my electric. Right? These are the realities that Americans and Floridians, especially in our district and our city, are going through every single day, being pushed out of our homes into the counties where there's no public transportation to be able to go to work. These are the realities we face. I'm going to be honest with you. I know what it's like to face those realities. I go to the food bank because I have to for my family. I have to subsidize my vegetables from the food bank in order to be able to buy meat. That's my reality. And I think we need to have leaders that know what that is and what it feels like, and fight for something better. We deserve better.
Yes.
And I think that is becoming a lot of people's reality, right? Maybe not at the same level. I know I went to the grocery store last week, and I'm not big at going to the grocery store. I just get what I need. It's usually always the same thing. The price is always something I guess I'm okay with. Last week when I went in, and I was like, wow, what? $75 for what? So the truth of the matter is, this economy is affecting all of us. I don't care what level you at, but some people are willing, I don't know, they're just not fighting for the people, and we need fighters. And that's what I think I like when I saw your feed just came across my Facebook, and I just started following it. And I have seen you out there. I have not seen your opponent. I don't know what your opponent wants. I do know your opponent is in insurance. And I was like, yeah, I don't want that.
And that is part of this job as well. You are, as a public servant, and especially as the representative of this district, you are the person leading the charge on getting resources, on making sure people get the things they need to live, like clean water, clean air, safer roads, all these things we need just to be able to function. And there's a big gap. There's a big divide, right? Because money plays a huge role in elections. And a huge, when we get to Tallahassee, when a person is elected in Tallahassee, there's this vicious cycle, right? You have to go to these people with money to give you money to get elected. Then when you get elected, you're beholden to them. You're beholden to their needs and what they want, and you can't say no. And if you do, then they take the money away from you, and then you don't get elected. So we need to really rethink this, right? Are we working for lobbyists and the ultra rich? Or are we working for the people in our communities? Because I can tell you right now, for 30 years, the system that we are currently in is not working for you, and it's not working for me. I don't have any children, but I can only imagine what someone with kids is going through right now. The when you're driving your kid to soccer practice and you're paying $4 a gallon for gas, you have to be asking yourself, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you have to be asking yourself, what is going on? Why is this happening? And how can we change it? And I think right now we're living in a world of chaos every single day.
Yeah,
We
I think that
see
chaos,
madness, and it's got to end. It's not sustainable. And it hurts our very mental health to be living like this.
it does have to end. It
Absolutely.
is not sustainable. I almost think it is also by design that we are in such a chaotic state at the moment. But I want to push back a little bit on fighters in Tallahassee. I think there are fighters. We do have fighters. The problem I see is that there's too few of you, let's say, that you are in Tallahassee. So tell us how you plan to help those few fighters that are there, because it's an imbalanced group. The
It
US,
is.
yeah, it's an
And I
imbalanced group. So
and that's
given what you said you want to do, how do you expect to get that done when we already have fighters who are struggling with the very same problem?
absolutely. And that's where these elections and this cycle is so important. There is change in the air. I feel it. We are fighting with hope right now. I have some hope that I haven't felt in a very long time. And there are so what we have to do, and our campaign and what I have been doing is making and building relationships with other candidates that are fighters as well across this entire state, not just at the state house level, but at county commission level, at city council level, because we go nowhere alone. We're going to need each other, and we're going to need people to count on as advisors, as relationships that are fighters as well. We need to build this coalition of fighters. I don't know if you've heard David Jolly speak, but he talks all the time about the coalition, right? This is the coalition. If we really want to get out of this chaos and we want to move forward in Florida, we have to start voting differently. We have to start picking our leaders differently. And the one thing we have to do as citizens is start holding them accountable when they don't do what we are asking them to do, and they're taking money from lobbyists and they're doing what the lobbyists want to do. They want to build data centers and all this. This is not helping anybody. We need to bring it back to from the bottom up. Does that make sense? Like we need to make sure that we take back control of our party. We need to make sure we take back control of our communities from the bottom up. I grew up in a different time, and I'm not even that. I'm 44 years old, so I remember as a young child, my mom had to go to work, and you know who took care of me? The little old lady that lived next door that was no blood relation to me, but she was our neighbor, and she saw her neighbor in need, and she said, "I'm going to help that lady because she needs someone to back her up." We need to bring back.
That's been the story for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
what we have to do is, I think, Jeannette, stop dealing with these traditional Democrats. And I don't know about saying centrist, progressive, socialist. I just want a change. And that change got to be with the candidate, what you just said. Well, that means people like Robin Lockett. That means people like Mark Davis. You got to get different. We cannot get these traditional Democrats who want to go in there and fall in line.
Yes.
And we know that in Tallahassee, particularly, it's the Republicans that are a super majority. When the people do their job by getting you elected, hopefully we get you a Democrat governor, then we want to see change.
Absolutely.
We want to see change immediately.
Absolutely.
And what Jeannette and I like to do, we're going to be holding you guys accountable.
I expect you
to. Scorecard from day one. Yes, from day one, and to make sure that they're working on the best interests of the people.
Absolutely.
Jeannette, ask him another question, and then we're going to let him close out.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we close out, because we are pushing for time and we're doing the hard stop, I want to give you a chance to address the two issues that we mentioned before, the DUI and then the Republicans sort of perhaps supporting your campaign without your okay. But go ahead.
Absolutely. When it comes to my DUI, I've spoken about it. I've talked about it to groups of people and my friends. I was at one point a broken young man. And over 10 years ago, I got my last DUI, and I was sitting in a very dark place, and I had this thing come over me, and I was sitting in the county jail here in Falkenberg. And I was looking around, and I said, Luis, you're either going to die or you're going to end up in here for life. So it's time to make some changes and start doing what you were born to do, and that's to become something better, right? To live in your community. And I've always been someone that enjoyed community and worked in my community. And in the past 10 years, I've done just that. I've made sure to help other people with resources, like I told you before. I've especially helped young people get the resources they need to learn how to vote, learn what petitions are, why they're so important, teach young kids in middle school how to go to college. I've been out there in the community working, and to be honest with you, I feel like this is my calling. It's my calling to be in the community. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping other people before I even help myself, right? That's the true calling of a public servant. And I do it without being asked. As the funding, I cannot control what PACs do. I have no collaboration with them. I don't know. Every time I get one of those mailers, and I do get them, it's as mysterious to me. I don't know if they're trying to mark me as a super progressive in order to take votes away from me, or what it is, or what the angle is. I can tell you from our campaign, anything that comes out from us or I have knowledge of, it's going to have my name on it, because I'm going to put my name on what I put out. It is unfortunate that my opponent is focusing on my past. I want to focus on the policies and how we can move Florida forward, because I was able to do that. Florida gave me that opportunity. I came here to Florida, a broken man, and it adopted me, it loved me, it nourished me. And I am proof that if you're giving a support system, if you're giving people that back you up, you can flourish here. And you can really do great things for your community. I have been recognized for my great efforts. And you know what? All those recognitions are great. But when I get to help an immigrant family or a mom with kids, I get the most out of that, because it reminds me of my mother and all the things she had to go through, and I'm able to provide that and pass it on. We have to focus on the future here, y'all. We're going to hear a lot of nasty stuff this election cycle, but we have to focus on getting leaders that are going to fight for working people in places of power to tell the lobbyists, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Love it. Great.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we looking for in you. We wish you luck, and we want to say thank you. Any last remarks?
Thank you all. Just go out there.
Let the people know if they want, in the areas that they're in, how to get in contact with you. I know we only have a week left of early voting, but listen, guys, if you got a little extra dollars, it is always good when you have grassroots funding. So let them know how they connect with you on social media.
Absolutely. If you go to voteluis.com, VOTELUIS.com, you will get all our social media connections from there. Our donation link is on there. And you're right, this campaign is funded by small dollars. I don't get big dollars from nobody. I'm not getting anybody giving me $10,000 like my opponents are. You know what I mean? $10,000 from Republican insurance PACs are coming to him, but they're not coming to me. I promise you. If they're not going to give me money. Okay, I'm the guy they're afraid of. Yeah. So we need to band together. Community, go vote. It's early vote right now to the 16th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. I need your support. I need to move Florida forward, and you can help me do that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us tonight,
Thank you.
Louise. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
all.
We
Have a good night.
We wish you all the best, and we hope to see you. And congratulations to you once you win.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Jeannette.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a little feedback again, but I like him.
He sounds like a really good guy, and he sounds like the type of politician that we're looking for. None of the fluff, none of the trying to tell you what you want to hear. And
Yeah.
as we asked him the questions, he was very upfront and forward about who he is as a person. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't like the BS. And definitely, I've been following his opponent, looking at his, and the insurance is a big issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was really good. So we have a couple minutes before we actually get into the show with April Cobb and Denice Thomas-Papion. I like to say her name.
I know.
So we don't have a commercial here. Do you want to throw one in?
I can.
Yeah, I would like to do that so we can make the break between the two.
Whether you realize it or not. Chroma Elite Paint understands that. They're a Tampa-based, women-owned brand bringing together interior design and personal style. From your walls to your nails, because it's all connected. If you're ready to elevate your space and your look, tap in with Chroma Elite Color Specialists. Visit chromaelitepaint.com or call 813-841-9462.
All right, we're back. So
I want to
guys,
say happy birthday
to
Keela McCasker, the owner of
yes, and the great work that she did yesterday with the homeless. Yes. So we're at 6:27, but I'm going to go ahead and we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and I think that is very unusual for us. So, so what's happening, parents? School starts tomorrow, and we just think there are some things that the community really needs to know. I've been sort of tapped into the school for the last 10 or so years. And one thing that I do notice is that there is, in Title I schools, especially those in Black and brown neighborhoods, is generally MIA. So I want to talk a little bit about, because we don't really understand the magnitude of this entity, the Hillsborough County school system. So by the numbers, the first day of school is tomorrow. So this is very, very timely, which is Monday, August the 26th. Did you know, Mona,
Wait. Monday is in August the 20th.
Did I say 26? What did I say? 10th. August 10th. 2026. Thank you so much for actually listening to what it is that I'm saying. So August 10th. But did you know, Mona, that there's approximately 250,000, and I'm going to say it that way for the impact that I think it has, and I want the listening audience to really understand. There's 250,000 students across 300 schools that will be attending schools tomorrow, and that's give or take.
Wow.
Those are the numbers on the book, which is around 224,000, but to 224,000. But we need to look at that. That's about 250,000 students. Can you imagine what it takes to get those kids across those 300 schools into those classes with those teachers? I understand there's approximately 13,000 teachers, and I'm not talking about all of the support staff that surrounds those teachers to make education or lessons happen from one day to the next. But The district is reporting right now, I understand, I hear 98% of those teacher positions are filled. That's pretty darn good.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So to the
Because
listening
look,
audience,
I don't.
huh?
I wouldn't want to start school for my kid, and they already have a substitute teacher.
Yeah, and in a lot of, I remember when I used to go into the schools, especially middle and high schools, that was a frequent occurrence. At that time, I don't know what it is today, and certainly we could ask the ladies what's happening out there. But then those substitute teachers would be there for like 6 months, 7 months, and sometimes practically the whole year. And they tended to be in black schools.
Title I school. Yeah.
Black and brown schools, Title I. But,
Mhm.
I just want the listening audience to really understand the magnitude of the largest, I think, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the largest employer in Hillsborough County. And you see by the numbers that this is significant. A lot of money runs through this system. So it's important, it's critical that we pay attention to exactly what is the quality of education our kids are getting. Our district is the third largest school district in Florida. It's the 7th to 8th largest in the United States of America. So
Wow.
we are very fortunate to have two very vocal, I will say, very vocal educators that are not afraid to make sure that we as a community are informed. The problem is, or the question is, are we ready to receive the information that they give us or they challenge us with regard to our participation in this very mammoth, this mammoth of a system that is educating and caring for our child for the majority or a large segment of their waking hours during the day. So I would love to welcome both April Cobb and Denice Thomas-Papion to the stage. Can you bring them on?
Some kind of way.
You do see or don't see?
I don't see her.
I know that April is having some trouble logging in.
Okay. All right, we'll give her a few minutes to come in, and while we do that.
Oh,
what
there she is.
about- All right. Okay.
Hey, April.
We are here.
You're on mute. I can take you out.
Are you on me? Are you on mute?
Yes, I'm still trying to figure out why you all are still very low. It kicked me out on the desktop, so now I have to do it from my phone, but I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome.
Hi. I tell you, technology. That's all I want to say is technology. It is really the way that we will function. So love it or hate it, it is how we are. It's how we move different today, I think.
Yes.
So let me take a minute.
Jeannette,
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
do something. Someone is saying they have feedback.
Are we getting feedback?
One of somebody in the comments.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to solve that. We tried to solve that earlier.
Yeah. All right, guys, you're gonna have to take a look.
All right, so welcome back, ladies. So April Cobb, let me just talk about you just for a minute, is a 22-year veteran of the Hillsborough County Public Schools and she's currently teaching, April, if I'm not correct, please correct me if I'm wrong, 6th grade math at a Title I school, and she's a nominee, or was a nominee, for the Ida S. Baker Diversity Educator of the Year Award. I was so proud of her, I tell you.
Yes,
And
yes.
she is, and this is something that I noticed a while ago, founder of, if I say this wrong, Beauty, BEAUTE, which all stands for something, and we'll ask her about that. Her own nonprofit working to close the gap for underserved girls in STEM and to build literacy through real conversation about the issues facing their lives. She's been doing that for quite a while. She's vice president of the Terrace Park Neighborhood Association and active with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. And joining her is her, and I'm going to say partner in crime because I don't know another way to say that, but everybody knows what I mean. Denice Thomas-Papion is also an educator, and she is, I don't know how long, so you'll have to let me know.
25 years.
What? You guys, I tell you, you are the resident experts. But she founded Carved Out Divas, and I just learned this, Ms. D Reads. I love watching your videos as you talk about Miss D Reads. And we're going to give you guys a chance to talk about your, what I'm calling bridge programs from one year to the next. She's also the voice behind Tea Parties for Social Change, and I think that's the diversity, but you guys will have to explain that a little bit for us when we get to that segment of the program, because I think what you do in your off time from the district is amazing. It is amazing, and I want parents to really understand the importance of all of that. So folks, we're going to get right into the questions, and I'm going to let Mona sort of take over from here, and we're going to get into questions, and then we're just going to have a conversation. So see it as a conversation. What we're going to start out with is what, Mona?
I'm trying to do something with the feedback. So you're going to have to go with it.
All right, so ladies, let's start out with the dress code. It seems to be a fight out there on the dress code, and I wasn't quite aware that there was. On July 2026, there was a new code of conduct that restricts, get this, people, pajamas. They set the hemline rules, restricts face and head coverings, religious medical exceptions do apply, and requires leggings and spandex be covered to mid-thigh. There was a parent-led petition, 31,000 or so signatures, that argued that leggings rules unfairly targets girls. Now, this is what they're saying. On August 4th, the school board voted 5-1 to reverse the leggings restriction after student testimony. September 29th, I understand the board is going to hold a full dress code policy workshop. What's your understanding of that, and given your experience in those halls, is this a controversy or not?
April, go ahead.
I don't see April.
Well,
Oh, I see her.
I'm here.
Yep.
I would not say so much as it's a controversy unless you include those that does not directly impact and work with the children that attend school every day and know the importance and the why behind the necessity for the dress code. So imagine going into a doctor's office and the nurses had on leggings that were see-through, and you could see their full buttock and their vaginas, including the hair. What would you do? Because if you make a comment to the child, and sometimes it's children, several children, then you're sexualizing a child's attire. So you tell me, what would you do?
I would have to address that because it's offensive to me. It and let alone the child, but it's offensive to me to have to watch that or see that. Now, is that what we are experiencing in the classroom? I'm sure not everybody.
Right.
But
it's not everybody. And that's where it becomes the point of saying, well, my child doesn't do that. That's great. That's fine. But for to say that we are stereotyping it for just the girl, no, we're doing it as a holistic strategy that made sense to where no child could be inadvertently sexualized for their attire, and then also for other children not to have been exposed to that. Because a lot of the leggings, especially those that are black and the tight style,
right,
they don't want the underwear print to show. So they go bare.
They go bare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't wear leggings unless I'm working out or what have you. I don't just wear it as an outfit to wear somewhere. But I do notice that it has become like a pair of pants for folks. And the school did reverse their decision on that. What do you think about that?
So this is my thing. And I did not know it was 31,000. I thought the petition hit 3,100 or so. If it hit 31,000, my goodness, we definitely need those pants. The voice of.
I read the date wrong, so it could have been that I read the number wrong as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because if we hit 31,000,
yeah.
Maybe they can help us increase our rate of pay and, reduce our cost for insurance.
Right.
Because, their voices definitely made things move immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, but in my opinion, I've been doing this this is going to be my 28th year. I just find it that our profession continues to be questioned when we put policies and practices in place that are for the betterment for all children versus this mindset of my time.
Yeah, I think I've heard some of the news coverage that are saying it's making one of the largest districts one of the most restrictive districts, and I think that's what we don't want to be seen as, one of the most restrictive.
Why not?
So why can't we just solve these problems? Just go with uniforms. I mean, I don't understand. Would be simple. Not only uniforms for the children, but also a uniform for the teachers as well.
Yes,
Just a uniform from K through 12. It makes life easy for everyone.
Yeah,
but why we making life easy for adults? The only profession that we always question and want to tell what to do are teachers. Why? We don't tell doctors what to do. We don't tell lawyers what to do.
Doctors wear uniforms.
No, all doctors don't.
Most nurses wear scrubs.
Keyword most.
Well,
yes.
Most teachers dress professionally.
Uniforms is not real world. It's and it's not. It's like you're taking the ability to hear the rules, follow the rule, and instead you are just instituting and saying one size fit all, everybody has to follow this, but you're taking that ability for me to decide away from me, and that's probably not the best thing. I think that's okay for maybe K through 5, but as kids are growing, I think the decision making has to be nurtured in some way. Now, that's my thought.
Okay, well, I I just feedback is it. But my thing is with the legging and all the stuff, situation like that. A uniform policy is helpful for some parents because of the fact that it's cost effective.
Mona and Jeanette, if you all press mute, sometimes it'll help with the feedback when we're talking as well.
Yes. If you go on mute.
Okay.
I'm sorry, too much noise in the other room.
Okay, if you could go on mute. Let's try it.
Oh, okay.
Because immediately it started to sound bad. Now the feedback has gone away. Exactly. That's exactly what it was. All right. So I'm going to just, once I come to my spiel, I'll just stop. But what I was thinking was that that a lot of times, like from my parents, I grew up in a society in the Caribbean where we wore uniforms from birth to graduation. I mean, we did all from elementary school all the way to high school, and it was cost effective for our parents because, especially with large families, it was just easier. And then when you have an older child and a younger child, you just pass that uniform shirt down if they kept it in good condition. So it is a way to one, it's more cost effective for the parents, but also it does help the kids understand that there are rules that we're following, not only just rules in terms of the classroom, rules in terms of the school itself, the policies that the district puts up, but here's something that will keep you in mind, and it reduces competition as well. You're looking at the fact that some kids will make fun of other kids. Bullying immediately happens when you see kids who are, or you don't have the newest pair of Jordans. You don't have the newest pair of this. You're not wearing this. I mean, we saw it with simple things like the Stanley Cups. Oh, you got a bootleg cup. You see it with things like the La Boo Boo. You see it with backpack. I mean, if you don't have the what's that popular backpack that came out, the something yard or whatever you call it, that backpack. Spray ground. If you don't have the spray ground backpack, you just don't have it. And they call you everything out to the sun. So that's a big thing for us, is just basically look, and I agree with what April is saying. These uniforms, some of the kids, yes, they don't know how to dress because they were not taught how to dress properly. So I mean, we had open house, and we've seen some parents come in a little suspect with what they wore, and I'm like, ooh, you're around children and adults, and we are seeing what you have on. So that's I think it's just such an important thing to have that uniform and to have it enforced, because it just reduces so much. And then the distraction, you're looking at, for us in middle school, you have hormonal preteens and teenagers, and to see body parts exposed is just not appropriate when they're trying to focus on getting their learning done. So that's it. And that's what I'm going to stop with. I'm going to go back on mute.
So, look, I agree. I agree with the uniforms. When my daughter was in school, she wore uniforms from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. It just was a less headache for me, a less headache for her. That was one less thing we had to fight about. They had to wear plain shoes, just like tennis shoes. We never had to worry about getting into name brand sneakers, or she wore loafers. From kindergarten to 12th grade. It's just one less thing. April, I read something last week where Plant was saying that they wanted them to have clear backpacks. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if that's to all the schools, because I know that they had just had these bike to school thing. Tanya Lewis have her huge bike to school. And I said, did those people know? Is that in all the schools or just Plant?
So I'm going to assume the reason why the reason why behind the clear backpacks, I'm assuming it's for Plant City High School. Not Plant High, but Plant City, right? The one that the young man brought all the guns to.
Oh, so was it Plant City? I don't know. I thought it was Plant High School.
So if it's Plant City High School, I would assume that, Denise, can you look it up on your phone real quick? I would assume that it's because of the situation where the guns were bought on campus. And then that will go back into, it is assumed that clear backpacks is going to solve that problem, which is hilarious to me. We work in an environment to where, and I hate to say it, where These children are very creative.
Mhm.
They're very creative. If you think a clear backpack is going to prevent a child from bringing a firearm on a campus, I don't know what stone you're living under. We work in it like some of the stuff be like,
It's Plant City High School.
okay, so that answers.
Okay.
So I would assume it is because somebody not on mute.
That's me. I just went off mute just to.
Yeah, so I would assume that it is because of the situation where I think it was 2 or 3 young men got caught on campus with the firearms, and then chairwoman, board member Rendon went over and did like a certain meeting with the parents over there and so on and so forth. But I say this and I ask this. So we can require them to wear, I'm saying to make a certain type of backpack because I guess the school decided or someone decided. I don't know if teachers decided. It doesn't make us any safer. But but in the same breath, we could say, but by the way, let's not make everyone be appropriately dressed and not have see-through leggings and garments on that could be offenses to what a culture, a religion, a teacher, especially a male teacher. Well, I just don't understand that. Like none of that makes sense. But again, I assume it is because of the firearms that were brought onto the campus. But I'm here to tell them, but clear backpacks won't make us safer. They won't.
You're probably right, but what about, has any school implemented sort of metal detectors, but not so much that, but where you come in, but you're being scanned as you go through, rather than clear backpacks? And is that a solution, rather than trying to have, I know I don't carry a clear purse around. There's a reason for that. I don't need people seeing everything I have in my bag. So why would we do that to students? But is there any other solutions on the table for that? Because that does not make sense to me.
Well, maybe we could do that with the money that they're going to generate, and let's get into these red speed cameras that it's just extracting money from the community, I think. Now, of course, they said, Vieira says it's to save the children. Well, if we want to save the children, I like what you just said there, Jeannette. We could put that in the schools, like when you go to the courthouse. You have to go through that thing. I don't want to be sending my kid to a school where they got to get one every morning. I mean, I don't know where we're going with all this.
Can I just add something? Okay. Can I just say I love the fact that we have a lot of great ideas. Believe me, we've been putting like ideas out there for decades, right? But the problem is the implementation. I mean, like when we noticed that phones were becoming those smartphones, like around 2007, 2008. Okay, we knew there was going to be a problem, especially by the time you get to 2015, everything was on the phone. Google it's done. Nobody's using critical thinking skills anymore. The problem is, okay, now they said no phones in the classroom. Okay, that's cool. How do you implement that? Everyone has a phone. I mean, unless they're willing to take the money and spend the money on the tools that they need to keep the phones out of the class. I mean, even if the kid physically has the phone, in the military, they use these things called the Faraday bags. You can't go on base with your cell phone because you're getting, what's that? You're getting a sensitive information that you can just walk off base with, right? So the same things could apply to school. Give every school 1,000 Faraday bags so that as soon as they come in, the kids lock the phone up, put it away, done. But we're putting policies out there that are just not the implementation of those policies are just not feasible. There's no way you can actually monitor that. And so now this is where we go back. Now, for me personally, I'm speaking for Denise only, okay, where the and exactly who's that? Any day the guns on campus? Exactly, any day there's a gun on campus because that's
any day. Let's stress that again. Any day. Any person in their right mind believe that there are not firearms on campus, and we know we're gonna get slammed for this later, Denise. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
Any day, we tell them all the time, there are weapons on the campus every day.
It's like there are vape pens on campus every day. Every day. Yeah.
And
So
on the
it's not that
guns,
it's something
that's
that
not
is.
just- we're not just talking about the students on the guns on campus. It could be anybody that is walking
Right.
on campus with a gun.
Correct. And so you're looking at things that is just, they're great ideas, they're wonderful concepts to put out there, but unless you're truly willing to walk the walk behind all the talk, because you can sit in Tallahassee all day long and make 1,000,001 policy changes. However, come down here, down the street, go down to West Tampa, go down to go to the schools in East Tampa, come on down to where we're at. And you walk those halls and you tell me how you're going to implement these things, because I can tell you right now, you're not putting the money in the right place. The money needs to be placed in the right place. But we could tell you, but again, they don't want to listen to teachers. Teachers know who they want to listen to. Teachers who they want to complain about, who they want to, say that we complaining. And I'm gonna throw this one out here while we talking. This is what I'm gonna throw out right now. The same way people are complaining about begging for a pencil and begging for the teachers are begging for these items. Just remember, last week in pre-planning, that very same teacher had to sit through a active shooter training. So the same person asking you for a pencil, just remember they got to put their life on the line in case an active shooter comes through. So when I ask for some wipes and a hand sanitizer, I don't think I'm asking for too much. I really don't think so. And I'm gonna go on.
So what is the solution? If they came to you, Denise, and said, okay, what should we do? We're going to do that. What would you say?
Go ahead. Now, the solution about what? The phones, but anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it is when you're looking at trying to get somebody to monitor electronics, weaponry, things like that, it would take time, because remember, you're talking about let's get 100, 400, 800 kids off a bus and scan every single child. Yes, it would take time. However, you're gonna have to make some adjustments a little bit, because you'd have to adjust start time, end time, things like that. But you're looking at ultimately what's the best thing for the child. School used to be the place where it's the safest for the child. You cannot truly say that that's the case now. Everything between weaponry, between drugs and alcohol, between ICE snatching up people's parents before they come to school. Now the children are mentally in a place where they can't even learn because they're living in fear. And it's just already the amount of stress that we already have as just adults in this world. And I heard one of y'all were talking about groceries. I mean, I looked at $75 worth of grocery. I'm in the fridge looking for the Eskimo in the back, because there's nothing going on in there with $75. There ain't nothing going on. So I'm just like, I understand. It's just, if they're willing to implement these things, they do have to make some changes, of course, to the overall school. But again, just like in April's role, we need to look to the community. We need to be able to say, how are we partnering with the community? How are we making it better for parents? How are we easing their pain? Because we're not doing that for parents. Parents are coming in and just like, I am overwhelmed. And remember, they're coming from a place where, imagine how school was for them. They feel pressured, or they may not have had a good experience with a principal, or they might not have had a good experience as a student. And now to try to bring all those factors together. So it's, that's what I can offer. I've been talking too long. I'm gonna let April go for it.
So it's like what Mona had already said earlier. Those funds that we already know are delegated for Department of Transportation, they're not even school districts' money. We don't get any of that money. That's designed for, I guess, roads and repairs. I'm not sure, but it's DOT money. It's not for us. They're the ones that manage those funds. Trust me, we have already asked. But a pilot. There was a pilot, I want to say, at the latter part of the 24-25 school. Where we at? 24-25. At the 25-26 school year. What's the 24? I'm getting confused now. Yeah, 25-26 school year, where they had put in a couple of the what are they called now? I lost train of thought. The things that go through the scan. And I'm not sure exactly what happened with that, but I do know that project was aborted at some point and no more conversation was around it. Now, I'm not sure why we are at a place to say, well, what do we do? Where up north, they've been doing it for years. up north in New York, New Jersey. They've been doing this for years, so we're not guessing. Just like the mayor gets on a plane, go to other states to see how they're doing things and the effectiveness of it, meaning like, all these new places where there's no more housing market available here. We made that happen for Tampa. Go to another state, identify ones that use this type of system to prevent firearms or whatever it is, weapons in general, from getting on the campus, and see how they do it. It's simple. Now, are you ready to put the price tag with it and pay the bill? That's the question. Are you willing to pay the bill? Is our district willing to pay the bill? Other districts also use the pouches for the cell phones. School-wise, now their districts aren't as large as ours, but it goes back to, again, are you willing to pay the bill? You can't make it legislation, then put it in the hands of the district, who then put it in the hands of principals that put it on the laps of teachers to manage cell phones. That's foolishness. We cannot do that. We can't.
I agree with you, April, because I believe that anything could be solved if they want it solved. Now, I don't know. I know we're talking about a huge thing, but when my daughter went to middle school and high school, they could not have phones. Now, I know sometimes they probably snuck the phones in. You could have phones on your person, but you could not bring those phones out. And those children did not bring them because it was enforced. Didn't care about what the parents wanted. These was the rules, and the rules has to be followed. I don't understand how this stuff can't be solved. And what I'm hearing here, hell, I'd be afraid to send my kid to school.
Right. Back then, I think
The
that
public
was
school.
phones were kind of new, but phones have proliferated to such an extent that they are an extension of my hand, my arm, and I walk through with this phone, and if I've forgotten it, it's as if I have lost my brain and I have to go back. The other day I was halfway where I needed to go. I had to go all the way back home and I was late, but I had to get this phone. So yes, you're right. But today it's parents would go up in arms if their children could not keep their phones with them all day long. I know, I see it even at Edison with elementary school kids.
And wait, I'm gonna say this too, April, real quick, and I'll jump in. You're absolutely right. Because what parents will say, or kids will tell you, my mama got me this phone, so you can't take the phone from me. But what they're not understanding is, especially where we are in middle school, you will do two things. One, you will create a problem because you're calling a child, and that child can't leave campus. That child can't sign themselves out. That child is not an adult. So now you've placed a problem on a child who's not going to be upset all day long. They're not going to get any work done, anything. And it's all the parents' fault because they chose to say that their phone is more important than their education. And then, of course, you got a kid that want to fight your phone. But I don't do that. I don't deal with those problems. Just like, okay, there's people that get paid higher more than me to deal with them issues. But at the same time, we just always try to tell parents it's something to give the kids to babysit them or pacify them. But you don't seem to understand a lot of, just like the argument over books and content of books, those kids get more content in their phone and have access to, and let me say it clear and plain, more pornographic material they see in that phone over versus a book that might be in the library about whatever. Okay. So they don't seem to understand these kids mentally, the phones are destroying them. This is why they're losing their critical thinking skills. It's the reason why you ask them to write a paragraph and they're losing their entire mind. So starting off the school year, what they're trying to do is reduce the amount of screen time that they have right now. But it's like, and which is going to be helpful, but we're going to see how it is, because child, to get them to think outside of a phone is amazing. But what we need to understand is that, again, parents, if you're not being conscientious about what you're doing, what you're giving your child from an early age, that child is going to become addicted to it, just like they'll become addicted to a drug, to smoking, to alcohol. It's the same type of addiction. When somebody tell you, when a 12-year-old will tell you they will die without their phone, that's an addiction.
That's true, but the phone has become their immediate access to information. You could ask me a question, and within seconds, I got the answer sitting here in front of me. So it has become a very appropriate issue right now for the school district, because the answers for just about everything is right there at the child's fingertip, and they don't have to think if you don't figure out what
Well,
to do with those phones.
isn't that the same thing as a laptop or iPad?
Well, the phone is right there in my hand, in my pocket, and whatever
Ah,
it
your
is.
iPad is right here too.
So the
Yes,
difference,
I'm gonna say yes, but the phone is that immediate answer right there, and no matter where I go, this is with me. I may have my iPad over here or whatever, but the phone is something that's different. And you're right in terms of both need to be monitored, but the phone is one that everybody has, right? And it's the one thing that I think can impact a child's education if it's not managed. And so I see the point of the phone.
Well, I just believe that the phone should not be in the classroom, particularly for elementary and middle schools. They don't need the phones in the classrooms, period. Maybe high school, you're trying to have them be a little bit more self-regulated, getting ready to go into adulthood. But who is paying for these phones when you have elementary kids with phones? This is ridiculous. I mean, why are they sending these kids to school that they either drive or they catch the bus to school with phones?
Yeah, I even
These
have
are
to
some
tell.
laws that we just have to put in place. And we don't put hard laws in place for our children. And
it is,
then
Mona, it is law.
It's
It
law.
is law right now. Elementary and middle school kids are not to have schools on campus. They're not even supposed to have them on campus. But then they smoothed it over a little bit to say not out and visible. High schoolers can, but middle and elementary, it is law. And again, those same 3,100 that signed that petition, can we hold them accountable for them cell phones that's out all day today? No, we couldn't do that.
why not? Why not?
Who's going to back us in doing it?
The superintendent.
I'm done.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. Here's me jumping in, and here's what I'm going to say. Yes, it is a law. It's been a law. It's been on the books for about 2 years now. But so again, it's a law, but you think people are paying attention to it or respecting it? No. And again, it goes back to implementation. The implementation of it, how is it going to be? How it's just like, to me, the same type of law. Like, okay, we shouldn't go run or through a red light. Okay, cool, that's wonderful. Most people, the majority of the people, know that they're not supposed to do that. But if I can speed through and not get caught, I'm gonna try it every time. Okay, I'm gonna hit that little yellow light and keep on moving. But the other thing too,
that's why they got red light cameras, and if this is a problem, then we have to find a way to enforce it. Maybe like get those monitors going through the schools. It has to be something to make your job easier.
Yes, and I get that, but remember the amount, as slow of a creep as it took to get to this point is as slow as a creep is going to take to fix this problem. I mean, kids did not get 7 reading levels behind overnight. Kids, the parents were part of the No Child Left Behind situation, and the kids are also No Child Left Behind. So the same 15-year span of time that it took to get to that point is going to be just like this. Now, going back to the thing about the cell phones, yes, they want to get the information quickly, but the problem is the accuracy of the information. I could go to Google, DuckDuckGo, Ecosia, I could go to 15 sites and get the different answers for the same question. So this is why the phones are also a dangerous thing. I forgot to mention that earlier, because now you got a child who believes that this over here is the gospel truth when somebody else could go on another site and tell me that this is the truth. This is why we want to go back to pen and paper, go back to the book, go back to things that scrolling is going to throw their whole eyes off. Let them stick to one sheet of paper, one book, and go back to this and chew up the information to read. I'm a big proponent for reading, and just chew up the information, digest the information, break it into digestible chunks, read. So again, that a lot of this stuff, it's great ideas. They're great when they pass the law, but the problem is, how is it going to be implemented? And I'm done right now.
All right, so you mentioned, Mona, I think it's the speed cameras in the school zone. So I have a video I want to bring up, and then you can kind of talk about.
Attorney, and if you drive through school zones, listen to this. According to this Bay News 9 article, Hillsborough's school zone camera program has triggered a huge wave of tickets and appeals. And most people are not fighting the tickets. They're just paying the $100. And here's the part that a lot of drivers miss. These cameras are catching people doing 11 miles per hour over the speed limit. So this is not just about crazy speeding. This is about everyday drivers who do not adjust their speed on time. So whether you think this is about child safety or over enforcement or both, one thing is perfectly clear. Florida drivers need to slow down around school zones because this can cost you money fast, and more importantly, a school zone is not the place to take chances. So send this to a Florida driver who needs to see it and follow along for more Florida road safety tips.
Mona, what's your issue here?
So, Jeanette, I do agree that we have to be able to drive safely in these school zones, right? I remember, April, when I was volunteering for a couple of months at your school, right? And coming around the curve, getting to her school, I mean, you just get up on it and there's the yellow light. And I just stopped, right? And so after I saw it the first time, the next week, no school is in. School is already in when I get there, right? But those lights are still flashing. And so I'm just going way below the speed limit at this point. It might should have told me maybe a quarter mile before I got there that this was coming up to break your speed. Then one day, somebody was driving behind me. He goes in front of me. It's a one-way lane too. Calls me an idiot. School is in. It's going to create a whole lot of problems. I believe, because Robin, candidate for state house, she recommended something, and it just set off something to me. Why don't we put speed bumps in these areas? Because what we do know, these cameras are not going to stop anything, but ain't nobody going to tear up their cars. You're just not going to tear up your cars when you know that these speed bumps are there. If that was the case, now we also know that they were only supposed to be working when school was coming in and after school. Now it's all day because I was getting there about 9:30, and these lights are still flashing. Now I don't know if it was a camera there, and I'm assuming it was no camera there, but I had to err on the side of cautious there. So, April, tell me, and Denise, do y'all think these cameras actually change drivers' behavior where you teach? Or does it feel like a revenue to where it's just extracting? And that's how I feel, that it is really just extracting money from these communities. Because what I do know, when they started it, they were all in District 5, one of the poorest districts. And what we know from those red light cameras is a ripple effect. If you don't pay this ticket on time, now you get another fine, late fees. Then you get your license suspended. You can't get insurance. It's just too much. And this is why I say we have to change these politicians, because someone went to Tallahassee and suggested that to Tallahassee, brought it back to Vieira, and now I understand how Vieira ended up bringing it to city council because he works on that committee. So they brought it to him, and he didn't ask any questions. I don't think. He just said, oh, if it saves one kid, but you ain't trying to save one kid from getting shot. You ain't trying to save one kid from the leggings. You ain't trying to save one kid. Because it ain't saving one kid. You're
So
taking
I
money
guess
from the community.
Yeah, so I would ask, from your perspectives, are we speeding in those zones?
You
And
might.
is this a necessary, I'm going to ask the ladies, is this a necessary solution to that problem? What's your thought on it? And are there other solutions? As you mentioned, Robin suggested speed bumps, and that should do it. But what's your thoughts?
So I know speed bump is going to be a no because of the buses, them going across those speed bumps. From what we were told, and even in our community, some of our communities, we're told that the reason there aren't speed bumps in specific areas is because it destroys the ambulances, the whatever it may be, the fire trucks, and so on and so forth. So I'm pretty sure that would be in alignment with the school buses as well. Now, going back to you saying, is this something that is curving the habits of individuals speeding? No, they just slow down in that area. That's it. It's not curving their behavior as being a speeder. And secondly, where our school is located is, I feel almost as if it's a trap because you're already coming around that bend. And as soon as you hit that bend, the only way you're going to break and meet that timing is that you abruptly stop, which could create a domino effect. And I never understood that since the day I started working at Jennings, but it is what it is. I will just say that I just find it funny that all of the schools or majority of the schools were in District 5, which is going to be our zip code of 33610, 33619, 33605. I just find that very interesting that we started there. I just know that, sometimes we driving our putt-putts. We're not driving BMWs and Lexuses and, those Porsches and Lamborghinis, that's more apt to be in the speed range. But I just find it funny that we started in District 5. That's what I do find interesting. And
I find it funny that they allowed it to happen there, to use us as the guinea pig. And when I found that out, it just even made me, our city, Naya Young, Vieira, and the two at large who allowed that to happen. That's a problem.
So I thought this was in place before Naya. This conversation was in place before. Yeah, because
it could have been, but when she voted on it again,
So they voted more than once on this?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I do know that when they were doing the pilot of it, myself and some other individual, we went to the actual meeting with TPD because we had questions about it. Mm-hmm. And, they presented the information for the small few that were in the space, when they do those elaborate, videographies and, movies, clips and all of that to show, that they came out and presented the information to the community. But in all honesty, the community didn't understand it. And we had questions for those that were at the actual TPD that was there, and they didn't have answers for certain parts of it. Because we asked, how did they come about with deciding on District 5 or those schools? They couldn't give us an answer to that. How did y'all decide on, go ahead.
This is where we have to be able to fight back and say, no, you're not going to do it. Because it took me, we've done a lot of research on this. And when it first came out, it's really how I found out about it. I am always skeptical when they're trying to extract revenue from our community. I'm always concerned about that. And I'm always concerned when they say this, they did the data, they did the research. I think it was Chad or maybe Flock itself did the research. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember that most of the crime was mostly in East Tampa. And I was like, bullshit, who are you selling this to and why that the people who represent us allow this to be the case? Because we know this isn't the case. And I'm not going to put it just on District 5 because the 3 at large represent us as well. So we have to hold all of these people accountable.
I think, of course, I would agree with the fact that it's definitely a revenue generator. Because what's faster way you can always tell it does feel very targeted because at the end of every month, that's when the one time you see most of the police, because I guess we haven't made our quota for the month and now everybody getting a ticket. And it's just the craziest thing that you ever seen. And you're right about where the cameras are strategically located. And also, too, another thing that I don't really hear too many people talk about is the calibration, because there's times when I can look at my speedometer and I'm like, this thing is literally saying 35 miles an hour, but the little thing in the street is clocking it at 45 and 46. I'm like, whoa, hold on one second. This don't seem too accurate to me. So, and again, where am I driving through the East Tampa neighborhoods? So again, these are things that are very concerning. They're very concerning. So, but again, I do believe a lot of times it's to generate revenue. But going back to April's point about the buses and things like that, you're right. When you look at our buses, I mean, for a speed bump, that it will destroy a transmission. And then you're thinking about the fact that if in terms of urgency, when it comes to fire trucks, a fire truck got to get there quickly. A house is on fire. An ambulance needs to get there quickly. Somebody might have a heart attack and die. And that's basic time to take them to go over that bump. You could have actually saved somebody's life. So I do understand why they would not put them there. But I think they're trying to train, for lack of a better word, the general public to be conscientious of the fact that you're in a school zone. Unfortunately, again, the window, sometimes that window of time from the last 45 mile per hour speed zone limit to right where the school is so short that you like scraping brakes just to slow down in time to get there. So, it is a problem. So.
Yeah. I'm thinking about, and anytime that I'm going down Martin Luther King in front of Young, that to me, speed bumps would not work to the points that you're making, because I thought, yes, speed bumps, that sounds like a reasonable solution. But you're absolutely right. I cannot imagine speed bumps on that street. So.
Well, then that's also for the sake of the level of importance. So at our school site, the majority of the housing communities that have, came about over there has happened in the last, I'll say 5 years for the sake of description. The only community that was there that was developed would have been Tulane. So there are sidewalks in front of Tulane. Now, if you look closely when driving around that bend, there are spots of sidewalks. However, children are required to walk if they live under 2 miles to our school. Now, imagine if we took some of that money and put the sidewalks in versus our children walking in ditches to get to and from school, because in most cases, a bus is not allowed for them to attend. There has been a lot of conversations, many concerns sent to transportation about, hey, you got these children walking to school in ditches. There's not enough road, and you know it, Mona, there's not enough road for them to walk in. So why haven't that been addressed yet?
Right. And they said now some of the revenue, and I say all of the revenue from wherever these tickets come from should be to make that walking situation better. And I can't imagine them walking in the ditches. What happens when it's raining?
They wet.
When it's raining or when water is still in there. I'm thinking about that now. I could picture coming, particularly you have a lot of blind spots coming to your school as well. Yeah.
So if I have been there for 10 years, I think this is my 10th year. Yeah. Either way it go, more than 5. Let's just say that. But I've been there right at 10 or 11 years. I'm going to say this. Nobody thought about this up until now. And Jenny's is what, almost 30 years old? So how important has it been? Or has it been because the majority of the students have been being bussed in from the East Tampa community? So it hasn't been a problem. So let's stop playing. That's all I'm going to say. Stop playing. Stop.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as we say, well, what happened to the lottery money? I remember when I first moved here back in the 90s, and they were saying, oh, lottery, the Florida lottery is for education. I'm like, for real? And the salaries still look like this? This don't make any sense. That's first of all, and this is how people, as much as we say, when you look at the model, the Hillsborough County, preparing students for life, right? That is the model of Hillsborough County. That is what we live and breathe by. However, the money don't follow what the words that come out the mouth. The money is not following that. If you say you're preparing kids for the future, that's cool. But where is the proof? As I say, proof is in the pudding. I mean, I'm looking at the fact that we were supposed to be an A school. Now I can manipulate an A school district. I can manipulate statistics to make it look like anything. I could do anything with numbers. I can change it, skew it, so I'm the best person in the world, on paper. But statistics, I can move them numbers around. But if we are supposed to be this A district, then it should be an A all around. It shouldn't be an A because the best schools or the A schools made us look like this. It should be an A because every school has equitable. And every school has been treated equally and fairly. Every school has what it needs to be successful. Every school has, especially mental health factors that will help the children become successful. I mean, we all need to have that. So I hear what they're saying, but at the same time, I don't really see it being supported, especially in a financial way.
And we can't be A and number 50 in the the salary pay. We can't be both. So I hope the A, equates to us getting a better pay and raise that's going to make a true shift and difference than family teachers having to double up, sometimes triple up in homes. Some sleeping in their cars, some sleeping in hotels, some having to I have a car, but I can't afford to pay the car insurance or the gas to get to work. Like we gotta line it up. We gotta line it up. So, I don't make what I think I should make as far as it relates to, how many years I've been doing this. But I will say this, I'm okay. And I've learned how to budget all these years with, this rate of pay and the lack of increase that is deserving for all educators, all parents, all transportation. Like if we're that A, the top 5%, I say the top 2% in our district need to figure out how we become at least number 40 versus number 50 as it comes in ranking and salary. And I'm so over teacher don't do it for the money. That's a damn lie. I do it for the money. I made this a profession. I want to earn what I'm worth. Yes, I love students. Yes, I love serving them, but I also did it for a career and I did want to earn money for it. I did.
Well, April, wait a minute now. I thought teachers made, I do a lot of teachers' hair. I thought they made, a good salary.
What's good salary?
What's good salary?
I don't know.
We're number 50
out of 50 states. Out of 50 states, let's look at it. Let's do the math because we not like those Republicans that can't add and do math. We know how to do math, okay? So 50 out of 50 states. That means you on the bottom. You all the way down. Now, I teach language arts, reading, critical thinking. I don't teach math, but I know that kind of math. I know how that math works. So this is what they understand. Why when a lot of people like for those of us, April and I, we are old school. We've been in this so long and we just gonna ride it out to retirement, okay? But young people, this is why their turnover rate is so high because they don't feel supported. They don't, they look at the kids' behavior, the parents beat them up. I mean, I get it for young teachers why they will give them a good strong 2-3 years and they gone. They're like, I can find something better than this.
Yep, Amazon first.
They'll work at Amazon before they come back in the classroom. I mean, they will choose something else. They'll flip a burger. They'll sell some shoes. They'll do whatever. Okay, so because it is tough, and the fact that everything is going up, gas prices, housing, but you just like April said, I don't know a teacher, and I'm just truly say we're blessed that April and I know how to budget. We've budgeted for decades now, right? But I don't know too many teachers that don't have a second and third job. And that's sad to know that, and the fact that kids will come up with a mentality that my money, they'll say to the teacher, "Oh, your money's supposed to buy me pencils. I don't know why I need pencils." Hold up, them teachers can't even afford to pay rent unless they live in with three to a apartment. So again, it's like the education is not treated as an actual career and a profession. And we see that nurses are treated like that. We see the educators are treated like that. We see there's specific careers that are treated like that. And I don't even want to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to say this is Denise talking, because remember, our careers are court mandated reporters. So a lot of times when people want to harm children.
Hold on, back up. Because they don't hear that. We what?
We are court mandated reporters. So, so you don't want to treat our job like a profession because you don't want us to say things about what we see happening to children because now you want to deem that it's not a professional. Well, they're not professional. Wait a minute. If you pull that list that this government has called non-professionals, hold on, these people, wait a minute, we all in the same boat. So now y'all are here abusing children? But that's a whole nother thing. That's for our show. We save it up for our show later. I'm just going over here.
That is a whole nother thing, and you're absolutely right. There has been an executive order that has deemed you and nurses and what have you with jobs that are high women, where women are there, are non-professional. And there's a reason for that, to sort of get you guys to stay at home and raise your babies and so on and so forth. And maybe that's not Black women, but definitely for the other folks. But let's move on to the superintendent's job. Is supposed to go on the ballot, maybe not. So I'm going to play this real quick and then we'll comment on it.
Of conversation to suddenly have my mail like flooded with hundreds of emails and everyone talking to me everywhere.
All right, that is not the one. Let me back that up. Here we go. Here we go.
Voters could soon get to decide whether they want to make the superintendent of schools an elected position. That's a referendum that could end up on the November ballot. Right now, the school board appoints the superintendent. Fox 15's Aaron Messmer is live in the newsroom. So, Aaron, where is this bill right now?
Well, Linda, it's on the governor's desk waiting for his signature. And if he signs it, the question that Hillsborough County voters will be asked is this: do you want to elect your superintendent of schools?
The 10 biggest school districts in Florida appoint their superintendents. That includes Hillsborough County, the 7th largest in the country. The rest, mostly smaller ones, are elected by voters. Hillsborough could join the majority later this year.
Because I believe in the voters of Hillsborough County. I believe they are capable of looking at a superintendent, just like they do a sheriff, just like they do a tax collector, just like they do a property appraiser.
86 yeas, 26 nays, Madam Speaker.
So the bill passes.
Florida lawmakers recently passed a bill proposed by Hillsborough Representative Michael Owen. It would place a referendum on the November ballot asking whether voters want to elect their superintendent of schools beginning in 2028. Owen believes it would add more accountability to the position.
That's what this bill is about, to give it to the voters to make a decision.
All right. I want to leave it there and get you guys' thoughts on that. Can you hear me?
First. April, go first.
Yeah, like,
They might not want to respond.
everybody.
So I have no problem with responding. I just think that in the current climate that we are in, to where Hillsborough County is converting to a space of politics that has just become more harmful to education, public education, than being beneficial. I think that it will not serve as a benefit if our superintendent position must be voted upon by the people. That's my opinion. Now, I will, but before you go on, let me say this.
Tell us why.
I just gave you the why. Because it's so politicized. It's just political. It would be a political game, like many of the other political games that we have in public education and in our local Hillsborough County education world. Now, what I would want to say is, let's strip them few dollars from our board members, and I think we'll have more effective board members as it relates to the job that they're doing. Let's remove some of them dollars and put a few more community related people, so to speak, on those committees that they, create for a variety of things, dress code, calendar, you name it. And I think we might get a better board. That's what I think, because, I always hear too, they don't do it for the money. Well, let's take it and put it back in education. You don't need it. You don't do it for it. Take it out. Take it out.
I agree. My philosophy with that, just like April says, things are very political. A lot of times it's a popularity contest. And so, once you are able to secure your group and get your group to push behind you, you're able to get yourself in the door. It's just like in here in education, the ones who are able to be in the classroom, out the classroom, move up. It's all not what you know, is who you know. Okay. And sometimes you'll have people who are for you or against you. So I just think that it's truly, it truly is one of those type of situations. You may come across somebody. It's just like, just like up in politics. Let's go all the way up to the three branches of government. You may have a justice who's there for 30 years. You'll end up having somebody who's a senator for 30 years. You'll have if they're able to vote them in, they'll be there for life. They'll have a superintendent that's sitting in there for life and will not make any policy changes that is going to be effective, that's going to help any of the children. We're certainly not going to focus on specific areas like what they are, where our heart is, which is East Tampa. I mean, it's just not going to be like that. So I think that just the way it is right now, just let it slide.
That's it.
Well, when we had someone like Mary Allen, let's look at her. She was there for a long time. And how do superintendent, how are they elected now? And do everyone, who gets to decide? How about when the parents aren't happy?
The superintendent's not elected now. They're appointed.
I know. Who select? How are they selected? How are they selected?
By the board members. They go through an application process, and then it's the final determination is basically who is recommended by I can't even look. You asking for too much information on this brain tonight. So the final decision is by the board. However, they hire an outside company to be able to go in and take applications from a variety of people that's interested in the job, and it comes down to the final ones that they want to be considered, and then the board members decide.
Yeah.
This is the reason why we're able to have.
I kind of like to know that. Let me say this. In the last election, the last pick, not the one we have now, the one before that, it was the first time I kind of was paying attention, and it was somebody in there. I can't even remember who was in there that I kind of thought who I was backing.
What is last Davis?
Yeah, it was Davis. Yeah, Addison Davis.
Davis came here and Rick made some records in Hillsborough County.
I didn't even want him, but that's who they picked. I was going with someone else who went to another state. So I'm like, is it fair? And you guys say it is fair to keep it as it is now.
This is the reason why you have so many of them from different places. Like they'll be coming from different states, and they've been hired from outside. And so, but like I said, to me, the smaller the committee to pick the person, the better. Versus that politics game is a beast. I would just rather keep it the way it is. But then again, it's going to the voters. So we'll see what happens in November. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but voters don't always make the best choice, and sometimes
correct.
Gotta decide what is this state going to do, or what is this county in this case, because I think there are a couple of other few smaller counties that do in fact have elections. It would be a big mistake, as Lynette said, and felt that they would be more focused on donors and that type of thing rather than the actual job. So voters, that's likely, that is in November. And we just thought we'd have the experts, the people with boots on the ground, tell you what it is that some of us might think is an obvious answer. It is not. It is not. All right, so we're going to move it on. And I'm hearing that graduation rates are up, and especially Black students. Their rates rose by 10%. Now, I know that I'm working with elementary schools and your middle school, but I feel like those numbers are not necessarily representing the kids that I tend to work with. So, I'm elementary, so by the time they get to you guys, and I know ninth grade is one of those years where you're going to see some of our students drop off. It used to be when I was working in high schools. But give me your thoughts about wonderful graduation rate, which is district record 90.9% graduation rate, up 2.9 points. Black students up roughly 6 points to nearly 87%. I've never seen that before. And Hispanics to 89%, students with disabilities 86.5. Can we trust those numbers is what I'm asking.
Like I said
before you guys say anything, let me ask you this. So Jeanette, you said something went off when you said 90%. Are you saying that rate from the kids who go into high school is 9th grade, correct? So everybody who goes in from 9th grade to 12, they're saying that they're 90% graduation rate? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying?
What I'm saying is the graduation rate right now is 90.9%. Now, that's going to depend on how you count it. So if in 9th grade you have eliminated some 50, 60 students, they're not in your count anymore, likely. And you guys can let me know what that is, that how that works, or how do they figure 90.9%? What goes into that number?
So I'm going to start off, and then I'm going to let April go in for. I think somebody's not on mute.
That's me. That's me.
Okay. Just like I said before, data can be manipulated. Statistics can be manipulated. And you're looking at the fact that, okay, again, you're right. 9th grade is that hard and very stressful period of time where a lot of kids will drop out. Partly in fact too, because the transition from middle school to high school is just it's great. It's vast, and they do lose a lot in that transition time. We're not looking at taking into account also you think about the ESC kids, the ELL kids, ESOL. You're talking about a wide variety of kids. And then when we look at the numbers, we look at it broken down in demographics as well, right? So who is actually graduating? That's a big thing. And then the other thing is, are they graduating with an actual high school diploma versus a certificate of completion? So those two are two vastly different things as well. So again, and whether or not they graduated with all the requirements that Hillsborough County has required, because we make a lot of different things. I'm just reading her comment. We're making a lot of different things because she is saying lies and damn lies. So again, we know that the graduation numbers can be skewed greatly. So all I can say is, if we say we're a school district, I need you to prove it with documentation. I need you to prove it with the numbers that directly from Tallahassee. I need you to show me where you're getting this 99% rate, and then compare it to the fact that, well, how many teachers do the kids actually have? Again, going back to the beginning of the school year, where some kids, I remember one year teaching the 6th grade, some kids had a sub all year long. Are the kids actually leaving with competent skills? That's another thing, because
and I would hope that they are. She say lies, damn lies regarding the graduation rate again. I just find that it's very, if all that I've been taught in my years of education is that the data can lie. And the data only lies when a human does something to it so it can produce the response that is more appealing to those that they're serving. And we're not talking about the children, we're talking about the parents and the community. So if we're going to do that, then let's get the numbers down as it relates to the suspension rate, as it relates to the funneling of the school to prison pipeline. Let's talk about those numbers too, if we're going to talk about those numbers and being in such an excelling place. Let's also visit that area as well. So it is what it is. I'm going to go with the judge saying is lies.
Because the data, it will be whatever we feed it to be. So we do know that. So when they say this is the data, I'm sorry, I'm not going to trust your data, because we can manipulate it.
I guess that's what I want Black people to pay attention to, because the data says one thing, but when I look at the Black community, the children, I don't feel like that data represents what I'm seeing in the schools. So, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in terms of your advice as to what we could do better as a community so that data is more representative of who we are as a people. And when we hear the data, we already know our numbers and how it factors into an A school or a 90.9% graduation rate, and we can believe it. And I don't know if I understood you right, Denise, but certificate of completions are calculated into that graduation rate? They're separate.
They're no longer.
They're no longer. But so
Okay.
so basically, what I was saying. Let me say is that, with the certificate of back then, I just wanted to throw the numbers out there, right? Because the certificate of completion was just that you spent 13 years of school and you just visited the school, but you really didn't get the credits needed to actually be considered a high school diploma, to get an actual official high school diploma. That's gone. Now we're looking at specifically only a high school diploma. And the thing about it is you have to pass these standardized tests as well. So you have to pass these, you have to show proficiency in math, reading, science, history. You must show proficiency in this in order for you to even get the high school diploma. And so that's what I'm saying. When I look at it and I see the numbers just for us in middle school, and I'm looking at how vastly different it is and how the kids are you have a huge set of kids that are struggling to pass it, some who are passing it, and then they're telling us, okay, this same set of kids now are going to be able to be graduating. I'm like, what happened? Because I'm like, I know what I physically see, and I'm trying to figure out if it's working out there in the real world. But when you do go out there and you start to hear, especially when you do your research on your colleges and universities, and they're all saying, look, these kids are coming in from high school. They're supposed to be a 3.8 or 4.0 in their high school, but they get to college and they barely can sustain a 1.1 GPA because they don't have any skills. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to disseminate information. They don't know how to break things down. They don't know how to critically think. So how is it that this same child is supposed to be part of this A group? That's all I'm saying. I question everything.
And they have to take remedial courses in order to be able to enter into their English class, whatever the classes may be. So that also, rings the alarm to say that how prepared were they for college? And until, again, we have those types of conversations in order to prevent this from being a vicious cycle, we're just going to continuously just present the data that's, again, more appealing to the community.
So when you say a remedial class, what do you mean? You mean they have to take a remedial course in college?
Yeah.
Well, who pays for that?
The college pays that.
What? Are you just leaving high school? What do you mean?
If you're taking a remedial course right out, you've graduated from high school, okay, and you have to take a remedial course, that doesn't even apply. That doesn't even go. That credit doesn't even go towards your actual graduation. You're literally going from 4 years in college to 5 now, because now you have to take the lowest math, the lowest reading, or lowest like an English class or whatever, because they know that you don't have the skills to start. Like, how can you do a research project?
Wait. I've never even heard of that. Jeanette, have you? And you said that person has a 4-point-something grade point average?
It's been happening for 10, 15 years.
Of course, I've heard of that.
Coming out of high school,
that has been in place forever. There's a lot of students that are coming out of high school that have to take remedial math, remedial English.
So why don't they go to a junior college versus you're paying for these classes?
They're even taking remedial in junior college. It's everywhere. They are not coming out of the public school system ready for junior college or a 4-year institution. Either way.
But she said they had a grade point average of 4 point higher.
It could be, yes.
Yes, she did say
because
that.
you can pass kids along. Yeah, the school system is famous for, especially if you have a behaviorally challenged child, What am I going to do right now? Because I know I got to deal with you next year. I'm going to just pass you along, because if I fail you, I'm going to have to deal with you again. I'm going to pass you along, and the next teacher's going to pass you along, and the next teacher going to pass you along. Remember, passing grade could be just a D. It don't have to be an A or B or C. It can be a D, the lowest passing score. Now you've passed your way all the way to high school, and now you graduated high school. And now you supposedly just barely scraped in enough to go to college. But guess what? You haven't learned anything. You haven't learned anything at all. You might have gone on a sports scholarship because you were great at sports, but you were horrible in school. So you might have gone on anything. I mean, you could be art, it could be music, it could be anything else you have gone on with, but you didn't have the skills. You didn't get the skills that you really needed. They just passed you along, because again, a lot of times we are told, just pass them. Just pass it. Or guess what? They're too old to be sitting. If you are 14, you can't be sitting in 7th grade. You can't sit in 7th grade if you're 14 and 14. You're supposed to be headed toward 9th grade. So at 14, why am I going to let you sit here when you are being told, just pass them along. Pass them along. So and now you've got the kid in remedial courses in college.
And let me add, it's true on the other side for that honor student that she's speaking about as well. It does not have to be a behavior student. It could be a student that just knows how to take great notes. They're very light. They do what's expected, and so on and so forth. So therefore, there is the compassion, the empathy to say, oh, they'll eventually get it. So that pass along also holds true there. So it's on both ends of the spectrum. Now, let's go all the way back. And middle school gets the brunt of this, but because that's just the school system is designed. Remember, our kids go kindergarten through 5th grade. That's 6 years at the primary age, right? Then they come to middle schools. We got 3 hot years to fix all the mistakes or support or elevate all of the excellence that was done in elementary. Unfortunately, the excellence isn't always as high as it should be in our inner city, for our inner city children, just gonna be honest, or for any child that resides in a socioeconomically challenged community. So we got 3 years to fix it or elevate it. In most cases, we're doing more fixing. So the kids that need to be elevated, we don't have enough time to support them in their elevation. There you go. So we get them where we can. They be like, well, they need to move 2-3 grade levels. That ain't happening when they're 2-3 grade levels behind. What we can do is get them a few buckets or a few points up, and let the baton be passed in 8th grade, and let them work them next 4 years out in 9th through 12. Because again, that's more than 3 years. So I say all that to say this. If we took more time to have more conversation around the things that are the pain, what they say, the pain points in public education or education in general, because charter ain't doing no better. And I'm going to say it as well, private not either. They're not doing anymore. They're not doing any better either. So I'm just going to say it. We have to have conversations around it. And one other thing, and I'm going to be quiet. She got a sad face. I'm going to say this. Hillsborough County has different committees that have access to our superintendent on a weekly, if not bi-weekly, if not monthly basis. The Hispanic families have a group of families, public leaders that have access to him. I can name more few, but I'm just going to focus on that for the sake of this. Why is it that we don't have a group of public leaders, families that have that same access to go in and talk about what we feel is best for our children in a place to where we're going to promote their success academically and their social being? It doesn't exist. I'm not going to say it just doesn't exist.
Hold on, April, because I thought this was going to be fun. I just got this script and I was like, God damn, this is very sad and depressing, Jeannette. This is Jeannette thing. I mean, I keep having to be on mute.
Wait. I get to be on the inside.
I'm going to start what you just wanted. I'm going to get Daryl Height, a few people, to see why we don't have this, because this is sad.
So hold on.
It is time consuming. These committees put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, because I used to belong to the Hispanic one, and they run quite, I mean, they have put in the.
What the heck? Why did you have a black one?
I was doing my own thing, and I was a part of theirs because I also had Hispanic kids, and they are very welcoming. They do the training, they do all kinds of things. But you are right, April. We do not have what they have because it doesn't seem we are invested in our children the way that they are. And I've seen this for the last, I would say, 15 years that I have been engaged in the school system. The difference is unbelievable. It's stark. So I don't know, but you got anything else to say on that?
I would say, I would say when you're in constant survival mode, I think a lot of times the reason why a lot of committees aren't formed too in the Black communities, most of the Black people, let's look at our East Tampa area. You know, if you're surviving, you're literally surviving. I got to figure out what's more important to me right now is figuring out what we're gonna eat. I got to feed my children. I got to put a roof over their head. Then saying, oh, I got to go be on this committee for education. It's just not to say, and I'm not saying it's a negative thing. It's just that when you're operating in complete survival mode, that is the last thing on your mind. That's why when you do have people who are true champions for that, who can do it, we encourage a lot of people to do it. Like we especially in my sphere of people, the retirees are the ones that do a lot of work. Because I'm like, I need you, since you are retired, you can go out there and do a lot more work, and you can push more, because those of us that still working full time or in the classrooms or whatever, it's hard. Like, look at what time they actually have school board meetings and things like that. Most people still at work. You hold the meeting in the middle of the day. I mean, who can do that? So again, that this is why I think there are a lot of committees. I know April wants to say something. Let me come off of here.
We're the ones that's in the trenches, know what's going on, what's happening, versus assuming it's what it used to be, because it's not what it used to be at all. So yeah, I would say that.
No, I agree with you. So we need to figure this out, because we keep saying we have these issues, and these people who have been there, like you said, Edgecon, Miss Kitchen, these people, yeah, because they got no more skin in the game, so they don't have to worry about anybody retaliating against them anymore.
I don't know how to address the fact that our Black retired educators do not come back in that regard. Now, even in my program, the CPO Kids program, I'm very volunteer intensive. And do you know, I have two retired teachers. They are both white. And they seek me out. They seek me out in terms of what can I do? And these are science and biology teachers and that type thing that hear about what it is that I do, and they offer their services. Now, I'm going to be paying some people going forward, because I do have some younger people as well. And I've said I was volunteer intensive. I talked to both of the two volunteer educators who can make money. It just has to be a small amount. They said to me, no, we don't want to be paid. We're just doing this because we love doing we love the mission. We love what you're doing. To Denise's point, and not that these people, Black educators retired, are in survival mode. There is a survival mode mentality about the Black community in general, where even when we could give back, we're holding on, afraid that maybe we might lose something, or we might say something wrong. And as a result, it's from that community that we've worked so hard to be a part of. So I've looked at this and said, even when I have teachers that are younger and they can't.
I don't want you to just say that. Lose what? if you're retired? Lose what? These people are well respected in the community. So lose what? And
Their
lose it from
position,
who? They're not going to lose it from us if they're trying to help solve the problem. So
yes
lose
and
what?
no, yes and no. There is a certain stature that you achieve that they do not want to be seen as the agitators, because they, when they were sitting in those positions, saw the agitators come in. They know what the discussion in the back rooms were. They do not want to be associated with coming and agitating for what is needed. I see the little boy that I've watched now for 3 years in elementary school. When even reading my pre and post tests, he'll ace it as long as I read it to him. He'll do extremely well as long as I read it to him. I sit in on his classroom, and the teacher, as they're doing activities, he will sit there until the teacher comes and reads it to him. This is a kid that's going into the 5th grade. And I just talked with the school liaison the other day, and the volunteer educator that was with me that day said, we need to focus on this boy here, find a way that we can help him this year before he gets to middle school, because we all see what's wrong, right? But if you're waiting for the established educator who has spent 50 years or so in the school and has his or her bona fides, they're not coming back. I mean, even as they sit on the board, they don't really fight for the kids in the way that I think they could, given the data that they must have access to. So that's my point. You guys can comment on it, and then I just want to end this and go to the things y'all do outside of the school district. Any other comment on that?
Well, I'll say this. Being the Ida S. Baker nominee for Hillsborough County Public Schools, it's exactly what you just said. Being an agitator, I went in knowing that I was not going to win that particular award. I knew it. But I knew those that were in that same category as me I run circles around them 5 or 6 times daily. But I knew for a fact that there was no way one that voices the truth about what's going on in my space, my world, my way of work, they would afford me that opportunity. It was not going to be there. However, needed to finish the course because I know what it was. Because there's no way you go from an almost 28-year vet at that time to a person's with 3 to 7 years experience in our district to be able to. There's no way. There's no way if you took the moment to just Google, there's no way. However, it is what it is, because I'm going to speak to all things that matters to children in our district. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, orange, green, whatever it is. But I'm also going to have a special place to speak to the issues of the Black child, whether who likes it or not. I'm going to speak to the issues of the Black child. There has been board members before. These are currently in place. There are current board members that we spoke to when they first entered this place that gave false promises about, yep, we're going to support you with the school to prison pipeline things. Yep, we're going to speak to those issues about the disproportionate number of African-American children, Black boys, a special emphasis on them. And when we became that, they took the pill. We don't know what that pill is, but they forget about us. Same thing when COVID was going on. Current House representatives, they went on this tangent with meetings with us, spoke about, yes, we're going to get together, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Public defenders at the time, state attorneys at the time. We're still waiting for those return calls and emails to address those same issues. We're now having that a new group of people have picked up the baton to say, we're going to stab at it a little bit more. And I greatly appreciate all the work that they're doing. But the key thing is that it's a lot of conversation that, in my belief, it's just going to be that conversations. The needle still isn't being moved because we refuse in our district to speak to the issues that negatively impact the child that unfortunately, but fortunately for us, is a Black boy. We have to speak to it, and they don't want to.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you're going to come across people who just, I wouldn't even call us agitators. I think that we're just truth seekers. That's what we are. We want the truth. We want to be able to say, okay, if I'm gonna, if this is the statistic.
Synonymous.
Okay.
Synonymous.
Say again.
Agitator, truth.
Yeah.
Synonymous.
Okay, I guess it is. But what I'm trying to say is that if this is what is being put out there in the public, right? All I want to know is the why. Why are you saying that this is true? When I can sit in a physical space, as many schools as I've taught at, places I've been at, and I can show you that what you're saying does not equate to what I'm seeing. So and I'm not afraid to say, because I have faith in a higher power, so I'm not scared of anything, But if I'm saying this because I'm saying this because I'm seeing what I'm seeing, it's factual to me. Why would you then tell me something that you want us to believe is factual when I know for a fact it's not? So that's all I ask, and I ask those questions when, and if we come across a little bit like, oh, y'all always poking the bear. Not that we poking the bear. The bear you giving me looked like the size of a small mouse. I mean, I don't know. So, but that's that. So we're free now to talk about whatever else. That's on your mind. That's on your mind.
So every summer, I could say to you guys in the fall, I know what you did last summer, because you're not only doing the work in your off time, and yeah, I know you take some vacation time and you do take care of yourself, but you are relentless about making sure that there's a bridge out there and that you're reaching out to that segment of kids in our neighborhoods that otherwise would have nothing to really do to fill those couple of months with, or those many weeks. So what, both of you can take time to talk about your programs. So what did you build, run, or show up for? Let's just talk about last summer, that had absolutely nothing to do with a paycheck.
So for every announcement, what 2019, 2020? Is that where we're at? That our person that's not here, Alicia Oates, kept pushing for a summer camp. Prior to the summer camp, Denise and I already were taking the time in our community to host our girls that were part of our mentorship programs, Blueprint for Girls and Carved Out Divas. Well, we would basically mentor, tutor, take them on college trips, take them to museums, book tour, you name it. We were doing it. But she was adamant, Miss Oates, was adamant about, we need to do a summer camp. Okay, summer camp requires a venue, it requires funding, it requires parent buy-in, it requires transportation, you name it, and it requires facilitators of such programs. And they have to be quality facilitators, because we don't want someone to just come there with the whole tear down mentality, or it's another job, because that's not what we want it to feel like. Long story short, we were able to host our first summer program. It was at the what was the first building? The Supplier and Diversity building right there. It's a Hillsborough County Public School building that was empty during the summer. We got kicked out of there real quick because it was we were supposed to be there and wasn't supposed to be there. It was an empty building, but we got kicked out of there. So that didn't last number like 2 or 3 weeks, and we was kicked out.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So once we were kicked out of there, we was like, okay, we'll try somewhere else. So we ended up getting a space with at my church, which is Exciting Faith Alive. We definitely are so forever grateful for my pastor, Pastor Hawkins. He said, just do it. Whatever you need to use the space for, do it. And that's where we were that's where East Tampa Brain Booster Camp came about. And we've been doing it since then. So we are very intentional about making sure that our campers not only have experiential learning opportunities during the summer, We want to make sure that they're staying in alignment with reading, staying in alignment with understanding the expectations in the classroom, staying in alignment with keeping their mental health, healthy. You name it, we kind of try to hit all parts of that. But again, we can't meet the need of the number of children that this would benefit. I would say that. So I'll just table for right there so Denise can give her part. But I ain't get to take a vacation this year yet. But I promise you, assuming we got a span of time, and I'm not doing it when them kids are off either. I'm going my grandma say somewhere.
Somewhere.
Not
We got the little bit at the beginning. At the beginning,
Yeah.
we did have a little. She was scared because I took her to see some gators up close, but she got she lost her mind. But anyway, that was our vacation at the beginning of the summer. but yes, I would tell you, the brainchild of April Cobb and Alicia Oates. I loved it. And I'm a big supporter. One thing about me, if an idea is a great idea and beneficial to children, I'm for it, right? So April and I both have mentorship programs, but I also have because I love literature, also a program called Miss D Reads, and there's a Facebook page, Instagram page, all that stuff. But it's always to support reading for kids. So in tying in conjunction with the summer camp, it's a big thing about literature. Remember, because our biggest concern is that summer slide that the kids have. Soon as it's amazing how 10 and a half months of consistent teaching and learning is lost in just that. It's lost in the springtime, it's lost in Easter, it's lost in winter break, but it is especially lost in the summertime. You'd be amazed to see. And you'll know immediately when school starts which parents were strict about those kids reading and doing a little bit of math over the summer, and which parents just let them watch video games and watch TV and play video games all summer, because they come in and they are so stressed out about reading for 2 minutes. So we are adamant about that summer slide. Just like, look, we got to get these kids and keep them to the point where they're understand that you can't lose this. That this is important, and reading is something that if you could read, every other subject area is going to be a breeze for you, but reading is tied to life. I mean, if you can't read a street map, you can't I always use this example. And I'm from the Caribbean, so we to get anywhere, we got to fly. We ain't taking a boat, we got to fly everywhere. The first time and the one time I knew my education was paying off for me was when I was a child and my parents put me on a plane by myself. And I was like, I had to go where on a plane by myself? And now child for me was like 15 years old, right? So, but the fact that I can do this by myself, I had to read it. I mean, we talking about Eastern Airline. Remember back in the day, I know spring chicken. I'm old now. Eastern Airline, remember those? So you talk about reading the boards, being able to take yourself from gate to gate and go here and then meet with your aunt and realize, oh God, I'm in Massachusetts. Now I got to figure out where I'm going. It's amazing. That's when you know and you begin to realize, oh my, I can experience the world because I can read a simple thing like that. And a lot of times kids don't understand that. They don't understand how important it is, why it's so necessary. So for us, with the camp, that's it. It was a no-brainer at that point in time. And I'm sorry. Anything else? So again, like I said, we're grateful. I think most of all to have the opportunity to work with children, because it's a payoff that's going to pay off years down the line. It's not something that's going to pay off right now, but years down the line.
So, let me do this. So
let me ask you this, because I do follow April, them, and I do see what you guys are doing. And if parents, and I know it's all over and they're not going to remember, but what should they do to be able to be plugged in to your kids and your organization, like next summer? How do you pick the kids? Where do you get them from?
So our marketing is done through social media. So it goes out there probably like in January, February. We put it out there. We put what the criteria is. They register. It's a registration fee, and the camp is free. Kids have to come. Look, parents have to bring their children on time daily. Parents have to pick their children up on time daily. And the rest, we are capable of taking care of kids, serving kids. That's it.
What's your capacity?
Yeah.
So
That's all
our
that they need.
capacity is
And
30.
we should have an issue with locations with all the churches that we have. So that is a great thing. I remember Joshua Way of Hope was looking for a location. We reached out to the NAACP. They couldn't. I don't know what happened. It just didn't happen on their campus. And I ended up calling my mom's pastor. And I mean, I don't know. I thought I was gonna get a little pushback. He immediately just said yes, open it up. Really, no charge. We did give a donation because we know they're running they air and all of that. Yes, and it was perfect. But they did that for 30 days. But with all of the churches, we shouldn't have any issues of a location.
Listen, and that goes back to me. And so you keep opening up these can of worms that makes us want to act up. So majority of our inner city churches are closed more than they're open. But we're here to serve who? The people. The same people that lives in the communities that your churches are. But we're driving off to Riverview, Sun City, Ruskin. The churches are more closed than they are open. Why is that? What happened to serving the people?
Yeah. I have an issue with these churches not helping that community more. Actually, these things need to be open where they're even doing tutoring, once school get back in. We need to have these as a location for people like you guys. If you want to do reading and math, say on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that, they should be open. Not Bible study for these children. They need to be having educational stuff.
So this this school year, we're actually doing the Scholar Academy, where we will be doing tutoring and so on and so forth throughout the school year. That is something that, again, my pastor was like, we can't just close it up at the end of the summer. We need to have an extension of what it is that you all are doing. But then it goes back once again to what happened to our churches being an anchor and a foundation for education for our kids. What happened to that? What happened to them that standing in the reminding the pastors, reminding our mothers, our fathers, our grandmothers, this was going on at the schoolhouse. You need to get to that schoolhouse. None of that in most cases is happening anymore. And we've created so many gaps, not only for our children, but also for our parents, for our grandparents. Because I promise you, at the same level of interest that we have for the banquet that's happening on July 19th at 6 o'clock, and the tickets are $100. If we invested that much money and time into the tutors, we got to worry about nobody paying the tutors, because them same $100 that the church can donate. You see where I'm going with that? We have to be able to find the space and the time to plug in with those pillars of conversations for our families, and it just doesn't exist. And I also other churches to be able to help them with their summer programs.
Yeah, I love the idea that you guys are going to extend into the school year.
Yeah,
I'm often asked about tutors for kids. Now, my program does not necessarily focus on tutoring. We're teaching children how to learn, how to sit in the classroom and be active consumers of their education. But the actual tutoring is something that we don't necessarily do. So that's important to know if that is what you do, because that's where we as different programs need to come and work together to make sure the kids are getting what they need. So I would want more information about that.
And I would say this to that point. I mean, what we need to understand is, I mean, like I said, I know my faith and everything like that, but I gotta say this, right? Biblical learning is good for children. That's wonderful. However, even the average King James Bible is written at 11th grade reading level. Okay. So before we even get to all that spiritual and biblical learning, can the child read? That's the whole point. So we need to be able to say, okay, let's focus on literacy skills first. before we even get to that point. And then, and I understand a lot of churches are big on, well, this is the big thing for churches is giving back to the community is we feed the homeless. We feed them. Okay, you can feed the homeless all day long, but you still are not educating them. You're not giving them job skills. You're still not doing things that will help them be better, be contributors to society. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Our children, the first sign of a dying church is when you lose your children. Okay, if there's no children in that church gonna die. Okay, so why are we not pouring into the children? Open the doors of the church need to open up and be serving the children. And I'm gonna come off my soapbox for somebody talk about me again.
No, no, you're correct. The doors of the church needs to be open. I say every day, and we need to be having multiple things going on at those churches, particularly if you're feeding, if you're doing a lot of outreach for feeding, and it's people in your church. We got to figure out a way to make them self-sustainable. We got to have programs come in there teaching them how to budget a little bit better. We need to be. I want them to be outside the Bible.
Yeah.
And being holistic, maybe, but
the
definitely taking care of our children.
The churches did serve that purpose in the past. We need to get our churches, hold them accountable to begin to really nurture to the Black population the way they used to. And that's politically, educationally, financially, all of those things. So what I was saying while I was on mute, we have taken up so much of your time tonight. We love talking to you guys and getting the information to what we think a lot of our parents need to know. Whether they know they need to know it or not, they should know. So you are, as usual, a wealth of information, and the passion behind it is very, very evident. So I had a couple more things, but we're not going to hold you any longer. I do want to mention, though, the whole Nolan Wells thing brings to mind, or brings to bear, and there's some conversation in our community about what we tell our children to keep them safe, in terms of friendships and in terms of going, when you leave with someone, you come back with someone. All of those things that we heard in our childhood, are we telling our children, that giving them the necessary information beyond, when a cop stops you, here's what you do? Are we telling them enough where they can be safe in white spaces? Because let's face it, they will be in white spaces, but what is the message or the messaging we need to change so that we can be sure that they are? I'll let you comment on that, and then Mona, I know we have more, but I want to be able to close because we're really over. Okay.
I'll just go real quick. Well, I do know that I'm sorry. I do know that for me, I can speak to my experiences, right? I mean, I grew up in a predominantly Black environment, so but I do, the one thing that is the same across the board is that, just what your parents tell you is like, if we all going someplace together, we all come back together. We have to be really concerned, especially in this heightened racial and political climate that we're in. We do have to be very careful about what we tell our children. I'm seeing a lot of this of harm to our young people, especially in Mississippi, that just hung another girl this past week. And so it's like, our children don't have to be very aware. They're taking the and especially since Florida is high for trafficking, okay, being able to be situationally aware. Our kids just need to unplug, take them huge headphones off, get off the phone, look around, pay attention to who's around you, always know what's going on around you. That's the best advice that I can give kids and parents, is like, make sure your child that you're in contact with your child and you always know what's going on around you, because you just don't know. I mean, and then just be careful of people approaching you also, because then people will just approach you with the craziest things. They would come to you like in Walmart with the perfume. The perfume thing that was big one time. The fake $100 on the ground was a big thing one time. Oh, did you drop something? That was always a big thing. So just being aware and of your surroundings. That's the number one thing. And then of course, know who your friends are. My parents would never let me go over to somebody's house. It was always, they could come over here. They always come over here because I need to know who know you. And that's it.
Like I was sharing with Denise earlier on, that I don't really know how to feel or respond to what's currently happening in Mississippi, because I can't even relate to it, because I don't know. My grandmother was very to leaving from in front of the house. So I could not imagine going around the corner and her not knowing where I am. And it aligns with what Denise said. If I did go somewhere, trust me, she knew the mama, the grandma, the siblings, all of them before we even left. And I lived in a predominantly African American community, and it's in Tampa area, in Oak Park, or Florence Villa is what it's actually called, not too far from Ricardo's. So it was Hispanic and Black. So I just don't recall it. We only had a couple of corners that we just knew not to walk on, not to engage with, because you had one or two families that just were not pleasant to children in general. And I never connected it that it was a Black or Hispanic thing until I got later in life. So I don't even know. I can't even relate to it. It doesn't make sense to me, because a child is a child, and I don't know anyone. I hope that I don't know anyone that would bring that type of harm to another child, somebody's child, and then their children could lie to the level that they're obviously lying to. That means that has been embedded in them and taught to them to do. And that's just absolutely disgusting.
Mona, I know you have something to say on that, and then we're going to close out, but go
Well,
ahead.
I always used to say to my daughter, as my mother used to say to us, and like I say, I never had a fight. And that's only because my father used to say, walk away. Didn't want me to fight, and I can't fight anyway. So I always feel like I would get beat up. But I talk a lot of shit, but he used to say, walk away. And he would always stop my brother and sister from jumping on me, right? And I'm willing to walk away. So I used to tell my daughter, you got to listen to your instinct. You know when trouble is going to happen. I want you to walk away. And so I can say that she's never had a fight either, even though, she likes to think she's a black belt. But I don't want you to be engaging. I want you to feel the energy. I want you to listen to your intuition, because it tells you something is fin to happen. And for us, sometimes we don't want to maybe back down, back away, or be afraid instead of just walking away. I never really cared about what someone said. I'm gonna leave the situation. And so I think we need to put that into our children. And I used to tell my daughter, if I have to come to the school because of this, that means you was there engaging. An argument is getting ready to start. I don't care. I want you to walk away. Go tell the teacher. Stay safe. And it's unfortunate that we have to tell our kids, because I can only imagine what Nolan experienced coming up to whatever happened. We could and I can't even imagine, like you, April, I have not really talked much about it, because I could only imagine the trust that he had with those 5 friends. So it's sad. So we have to tell our children to, one more thing, how to be safe, how to come home.
Yeah. I don't know. I did grow up
But good
in
conversations, ladies.
Yeah, great conversation. I did grow up in black and white spaces, so I do kind of understand how he got on that boat with them, because I remember even as a cheerleader in middle school, being the only black, and this, we're talking the late 60s, early 70s. It's, you just, you're aware, because integration was just happening at that time, and you know that you are different. And when you get to the destination, I remember going to camp, Leesburg, I looked for the other black cheerleaders on the other squads. I looked for other black people. it's because my mother taught us as we were traveling, even overseas, that we could not go into anybody else's house. Didn't matter. We could not go to anybody else's house. We never spent the night with anybody, and they would take, if we needed to go somewhere, they would take us, or they would vet, and these were Black people even, they would completely vet whoever it was, and they had to be really good friends of theirs, not ours. It had to be friends of theirs. So parents, we are asking you to be ever vigilant with your children and to give them good information. And as you said, Denise, especially given the climate with the heightened racial focus, we have to protect our children. That said, Mona, I know we have a lot, including quick, but I don't think tonight is the night that we're going to do that, because Denise and April have taken up all of our time with what I wanted to hear. This is what we should have been talking about tonight.
It was a lot of helpful and good information, and I'm good with it. I do like to be able to send the kids and the families back to school well prepared, well known. But I also would ask the parents to be mindful of those children who are bullies, and you know your children. Talk to them as well.
So you mean you're
try to teach them to be good friends, good people, and we know it's not going to happen overnight, but it is your responsibility as parents to make sure that they are good as well.
I agree. And really quick, I just want to give four strategies for parents and caregivers for this first quarter. We're going to do small chunks. Number one, make attendance a non-negotiable. Attendance has to be a non-negotiable. The level of chronic absenteeism that plagues our schools is astronomical. If your child is missing more than 1 day a month, that means they have chronic absenteeism. Yes, we know some children are going to have some health issues. Yes, we know that those absenteeism will be excused. However, in most cases, that's not the case. Next, stay connected to your child's school. Right now, you could go on Hillsborough County Public Schools website and you could get the district calendar to know all the dates that we have off. We have a lot. Parents complain about them all the time. We have too many days off. Plan your vacation days around those dates that you're going to do family outings or whatever it may be. We get it. Things happen, things come up, but vacations, you plan those. So therefore, plan the dates according to the school's dates. And also go on your child's website. They also have school calendars. Align those special events, parent conference nights, so on and so forth. You know, when you are connected, statistics shows that when a parent or caregiver is tied back to the school, their child does at least 2 times as better for a child that is not. So that's statistics. That's not played around with data. That's real data. Create some simple routines at home. Go to bed. Like I'm going to tell this grandson of mine and the 11th graders in this house tonight, go to bed, 8:30. He's waiting for me to give him the go-ahead to tell him now, get ready to go to bed. The 11th graders, now I'm going to tell them to go to bed, but they're going to go to bed without devices too. Those devices keep those children up all night. You don't know what they're watching, who they're watching, why they're watching. If they go to sleep at all, then they sleep in school. Mine did that last year. The last quarter, I'm going to make sure he don't do that this quarter. It holds true for me too. And then finally, speak up early when there's a problem for your family. If your child is having a problem, there's no such thing as that a principal is unavailable. Now, that don't mean go straight to the principal. Protocol. Teacher first. Speak to the teacher. Not always assume what your child is saying correct, because that child that you have in your house is not the child that when they get with their friends and their peers. In most cases, they metamorph a little bit. Not to where they're unrecognizable, but they develop some traits. No, it's metamorphosis for them. They morph into something that some of us have never seen. When you see them with their parents, you be like, who that child? Because it ain't the child I know. They transform. They a butterfly. Like they came out to something different. And again, there's a school social worker. Every school has a guidance counselor, a social worker, and a school unique like mine, a community school has a community resource teacher and a parent liaison.
Parents, we cannot help you if you don't tell us where the need is. So let's just start with those 4, and maybe these ladies will invite us back next, in the next couple of weeks, and we'll give y'all some more things to support your scholars. And then community, we need you to support as well. So that was my tidbit.
Thank you. And I co-sign everything she said because we can't put them together. Okay. All right. And guess what? We got to go to work tomorrow.
So everybody, we're just gonna have a hard close. That's the show. School's back in session. The ballot's got a real fight on it